Handshake, and yeah. Hello. Hello.
خب برای اینکه آقای روزن رو با شخصشون کار نداشتیم ما. آقای روزن اتفاقی اونجا بودن، میتونستن کسی دیگه ای باشه.
I had no problems. We had no problems with Mr. Rosen in person. It could have been Mr. Rosen or any other American citizen over there or any other person. I have nothing personal against Mr. Rosen. And I didn't have anything personal against him in the first place.
But what about his treatment? I mean, you did decide to take Americans hostage to prove a political point, and these people claim to have been treated very badly.
اینا ادعا میکنن که باشون رفتار بدی شده و به هر صورت شما به خاطر امیال سیاسی که داشتین، به خاطر اهداف سیاسی که داشتین، اینا رو گروگان گرفتین. چه نظری راجع به این قضیه ندارین؟
ببینید رفتار بد که میگن به این معنی است که تصور اونها از رفتار بد چیه. اینا آمریکایی بودن، تحت حمایت آمریکا بودن، انتظار نداشتن که کوچکترین واقعی براشون رخ بده. بنابراین خیلی براشون سنگین بوده که با این واقع مواجه شدن. در حالی که اگه اینا برگردن به شرایط رژیم گذشته، اون موقع میفهمن رفتار بد یعنی چی.
Defining bad treatment itself is a question which remains to be answered. Considering the fact that these people were American citizens and they had very special expectations, the very act of taking them as hostage would be labeled bad treatment. Whether this actually connotes that there was any kind of violation, any kind of physical violence whatsoever, this needs to be taught.
Why did you take Americans hostage then?
واسه چی گروگانشون گرفتین اصلا؟
برای اینکه شاه رو از آمریکا، شاه رو نبرن تو آمریکا علیه مردم ما و انقلاب و اینا دسیسه کنن و دوباره اونو برگردونن برای اون بدبختی بیارن.
We wanted the Americans to deport the Shah so that we would not face another coup just like what happened 25 years before that time.
What do you think you've achieved by coming here today?
فکر می‌کنی که با اومدنتون امروز به اینجا به چه هدفی رسیدی؟
فکر میکنم هدف من این بود که حرفمو بزنم شما و دیگران بشنوید که این کار محقق شده. حالا میتونن شنوندگان قضاوت کنن.
My objective was to come here and talk and say what I had to say. Whether these talks are good enough or the kind of judgments, let's just leave them on the side of the audience. Let them make the judgment.
In reality, the situation was miserable. We were held for 444 days in total darkness in many cases. We were not permitted outside at all. The situations were untenable. They were inhumane. And though I know that Mr. Abdi said that we were treated well, I think the Iranian people really don't understand that situation. They're hurt, and there are many grievances that they do have. But I think they need to be informed that the American hostages were treated badly during those 444 days.
He contends that the hostages were taken because they were so paranoid of the Shah, of another coup occurring in Iran.
Well, I think Mr. Abdi's historical analysis is not, I believe, the correct historical analysis. It's a very Iranian historical analysis. The Shah, the United States was not in any way, shape, or form attempting to bring the Shah back to Iran. 1978 was not 1953. We accepted the Islamic Revolution. We were going to work with what was there, and that was it. Obviously, the United States government wanted another situation, but I believe we accepted what was going on in Iran as the revolution proceeded, and we accepted the Islamic government of Iran.
Why did you think it was important to come forward today to meet Mr. Abdi?
What was important for me was the putting of closure to the 444 days. That was close to 20 years of my life where I wanted to at least find some reason why all this had been taken, all this had been done, I mean. In my estimation, the important thing for me was to take the Iranian crisis and move it ahead say to other people that I think it's been long enough for the United States and Iran to be so far apart from each other, and that it's important that we start relationships all over again. But I have to say, this is only a very minor point in this point of departure.
How do you foresee the future American-Iranian relationship developing?
Slow, difficult, rocky, and long. I think there's no other way to state it. But I think importantly, Iranians have to understand the relationship will not go anywhere. And if they don't want it to go anywhere, it won't go anywhere unless there is direct negotiations. The United States will not apologize to Iran directly, and nor does the United States want Iran to apologize to us directly. What needs to be done is for negotiators to sit down and talk about our grievances and then move on from there. Now, there are many factions in Iran that don't want that to happen, and there are many demagogues within the United States that don't want that to happen. But for the greater good of the Middle East, peace around the world, it's important for both countries to sit down without any preconditions whatsoever. There's no way that God will impose solutions on this situation. Only human beings will.